Like that one episode of, it's been all over like TikTok where they come in on the HGTV show and they like cry and break down. Like,
oh yeah,
that's like, your worst nightmare.
That
probably,
is my
right?
worst nightmare. And let me tell you, I can tell you all the background behind all the HGTV stuff because we've done that and we've been on it. But like, yes, that is my worst nightmare. I don't ever want my clients to feel that way. And to me, the difference between somebody doing this as a hobby and somebody who really truly understands what it is to be a designer is the understanding that they have to take themselves out of it.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Scaling Secrets. I'm Dan Maddox, joined by Sara Davis with Artful Conceptions, talking about entrepreneurship. It's kind of hard to believe, almost like not quite 2 decades ago, but you kind of started this all on your own on a whim, right? I don't want to give you too much time on top of that.
So I started my company in 2008.
You know, if you remember, that is not a good year to start a company, right?
It was not a good year to start a company. It was
recession.
It was recession. It was insecurity. It was the company I was working for. We had gone through like showing up with like doors shuttered because like we couldn't get product. It was bad. Like companies where it was not good. And it was choosing to make a decision to say, who do I rely on more than anybody? Who do I believe that I can count on? And at the end of the day, I was like, me. Like, that's it. Like, the only thing I can control are my controllables. And my controllables were me and what I could do and my talent and my education and what did I believe that I could actually bring to the table.
We're going to talk more about kind of taking that leap coming up, but first let's kind of lay the foundation of like who you are, what you do now, and what you offer to the Tampa Bay area. I know you're headquartered in Valrico.
So we're headquartered in Valrico at this point. We've had offices in Apollo Beach and downtown Tampa. Really loving the vibe that we got post-COVID, which was bring the office home, and I just didn't want to go back to an office. Yeah, why not? So that's been fantastic for me. I graduated from the University of South Florida, have a wide range of experience in all different levels of formats of art and design. Everything from my thesis program was to build a literal 3-room house inside of a gallery. I love that experience that came from starting from before I even took one day of working in the field, of knowing the construction aspects, how things were put together, how it's done, having drawn all those blueprints. I took all of that knowledge and then I bring that to my clients versus I know a lot of people think, oh, designers, they just kind of like fluff pillows and point to where furniture is supposed to be. So really getting to do that and work directly with each of our clients. We bring that knowledge to them of how things are constructed and how to combine and give them exactly what they want. So we do mostly residential, mostly because I love residential. Gotcha. That means that I'm working with people and I get to see their faces all the time when things are being done. But I still do keep commercial on the side, offices, restaurants, those kind of things. We do that.
Who would be your target client or your most often client?
My typical client is that really busy professional, whether they are an attorney, a doctor, a CEO, there's somebody who usually understands the value of what their time is, understands the knowledge base and what it is to hire a professional who's actually going to be able to perform and achieve what they want to be done, and somebody that they can turn their product, turn it over to and just be like, yes, yes, yes. I don't want to make all of these decisions. Tell me how it's going to be. Make this happen for me. My typical client doesn't want to be super involved in every decision. They want somebody who's going to take care of it.
Yeah. So how do you do that? Because I feel like I would be probably a horrible client, like different people. I'm sure you have the type of people that are just take care of it, do it all. And then some that want to be very hands-on. Like this is also like you're designing spaces that people live in, right? That's a very intimate thing. Like how do you figure out how to like, how do I, should I buy this? Are they going to like that? Like how do you do that?
Right. So I think the process and the number one thing that most people are really afraid of when they hire an interior designer is that they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to walk into this space and I'm going to see the designer.
Like that one episode of, It's been all over like TikTok where they come in on the HGTV show and they like cry and break down. Like,
oh yeah,
that's your worst nightmare.
That
probably,
is my
right?
worst nightmare. And let me tell you, I can tell you all the background behind all the HGTV stuff because we've done that and we've been on it. But like, yes, that is my worst nightmare. I don't ever want my clients to feel that way. And to me, the difference between somebody doing this as a hobby and somebody who really truly understands what it is to be a designer is the understanding that they have to take themselves out of it, because you should never see me when you walk in your home. You should be able to walk in your home and your home gives you a big, huge hug because it is exactly what was in your brain, but better. And that is, so my job is I spend a lot of time with my clients, getting to know them. We have questionnaires. We have send me pictures. Tell me what it is that you're looking at. What can I do to get to know them better? I mean, everything from, I want to see your 5 favorite outfits in your closet. I want to know like those kind of things. So I get to the point where I know them so well that I could make a decision as if I am them.
Over the almost 2 decades that you've been doing this, how do you stay up on like when trends change, tastes change?
So I think you do a combination of all of it. You definitely stay up on the trends. We have a High Point Market in North Carolina.
I went this fall.
Fantastic.
Were you there?
I was not at this fall one, but I will be at this one coming up in the spring.
Okay.
I have been going to market, almost as long as you keep saying.
It's a beautiful building.
It's
it's a beautiful.
There's so many buildings.
Yeah.
It's about 5 miles in radius of like the typical, like of all the different showrooms. Okay. But then you even have ones that you go further out to. So you have like, you'll take little vans and you'll go out to Lexington and you'll go out to Thomasville and you'll go out to the other manufacturers.
We're talking about it in North Carolina. I don't know, explain it, because I had someone that worked there and I went to just hang out for the day. And
so you
got to drink champagne and I like that. So
yes. Okay. You could drink champagne from morning to night, like at market. I always have a policy that we don't have a first drink of alcohol until all our buying is done for that day.
Well, that's not how I operated that day.
Yeah. Well, because you weren't buying it.
That's
so as long as you weren't a buyer, like that's totally fine. But yeah, so the building that you were in is one of the main market buildings. Really fantastic. You have tons of brands that have galleries and showrooms in there. But that's just one of like a ton of buildings. You have everything from the old market suites, which are like the old original buildings. These buildings have been there for hundreds of years. They're gorgeous. Yeah. They're absolutely gorgeous. This is where American furniture really started. Like this is where they have been there for over 100 years showing these products.
And that's where getting back to what we're with keeping up on the trends, and that's kind of where you get the inspiration.
You get a lot of like inspiration through there. I'm going to tell you really honestly, furniture fashion follows clothing fashion. Mm-hmm. So if you see it walk down a Paris or Milan runway, we are going to find a way to interpret that into your home. Okay. All of that fashion becomes different ways into the home. Okay. For me personally, I try and tell my clients all the time, look, we want to have some really good classic staple items. And then we can have moments of trendy, but we don't want to create an atmosphere or a place where you feel like every 2 seasons you have to redo your home. Go change your pillows, go change your accessories, go change small items, those kind of a thing. Great. But your main big pieces, let's find your classic style, because design and interior design is really about highlighting that person and their actual style. So even though it might be super trendy to be using, magenta and jade green together, right, that may not benefit that client. And there's no point in bringing in some really great, fantastic trend into someone's home that is just going to make them uncomfortable.
Right. Okay. For people who may not be in a position to have an interior designer, most people are, where they are designing their own homes. Like, what are some big no-nos right now? Would it be the gray floors? I hear.
So gray is definitely.
Or like, what are some big no-nos people should know?
I think the number one big no-no is to follow a trend if it doesn't resonate within you. Okay. Like if you don't look at something and go, oh my God, butterflies in my stomach, just like you feel like when you meet that person that you love and you get those butterflies, you should have those kind of butterflies with any major decision that you are making in your home. I say all the time, I know we got to look right for a client when I get goosebumps up my arms. So have those goosebumps, get those butterflies. Don't look at something and be like, I'm pulling this because everybody else in the world is pulling it. That doesn't work. It has to resonate with you. Just like if you put a person in a really trendy outfit, but they can't pull that off because it's not them, the same thing will happen with your home. So don't make that mistake. The other big mistake I tell people all the time is to shut out your family, your friends, your neighbors, your whatever.
Yeah.
I equate the design
Mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law, father-in-law, whichever it is, you know, shut them out, because I equate it to the same process of when you're pregnant and everybody in the world either A, has to put their hand on your stomach, or B, tell you how to parent. People do the same thing if they find out that you're redoing your home, you're remodeling something, you're changing something. They're going to tell you everything in the world of what they did and what they think that you should do. Unless you ask them for that advice, put it out of your mind.
Yeah.
Like, they're thinking from themselves. And as I said before, like, the key to being a phenomenal designer is being able to take yourself out of it. Your average mom, dad, sister, brother-in-law, cousin, neighbor, friend, they can't take their own likes out of the situation.
This is very self-serving, but you know, I was in a debate with my partner. I think it's okay not to have throw pillows on your sofa. I hate throw pillows. I don't have them. Some people say this is insane. You need to have throw pillows. What would your opinion be?
I think you have to do what works for you comfort-wise.
Okay.
Do I love throw pillows? Absolutely. I'm a designer. I love every day of fabric. I get new boxes of fabric, of textiles, of all of it. It's like Christmas to me. I'm like, ooh, you'll find me like with just fabrics everywhere. And then, you know, like that's Christmas, because that's my love and joy.
Okay.
But if every time you are going to sit on that sofa, that throw pillow is going to be on the ground because you pulled it off, because you hate it being there, then don't do it. But you do have to find a way to soften a space.
Okay.
Because if you don't have some other textile moments with it, it won't feel complete. Like an area rug grounds a space. Minus an area rug, you've got floating furniture. You need those kind of textiles to come in and soften. So it could be your window treatments near it. It could be your area rug. It could be a throw. It could be a lot of other things that work. You just want to make sure you don't have all super harsh lines.
Back to you and kind of your journey, because I want to talk a little bit more about that. Like we were talking about in the beginning, you know, in 2008, not a good year to take a leap and start a business. Kind of talk about how you got to that point where you said, hey, I want to do this on my own. How did you get there?
I got there in probably some of the frustration of like the volatility, what's going on, where do I go, how do I do this? Those that know me know that I can be really analytical.
Okay.
So I actually sat down, did all the financials of everything, and I looked at it and I said, I could literally work half the amount that I am working and make more money if I did this for myself. And so I just kind of went, okay. Florida Design Magazine had come to me.
How scary is that though? Right. You know, like that's...
It was just like, okay, so if I can bet on anybody, I'm going to bet on me. And I'm going to bet on that I'm going to make this happen. And so like Florida Design Magazine had come to me about being in it. And I was like, let's just do it. Let's coordinate this with the release of the Florida Design Magazine and let's just go. Let's do it. I had done a big showcase for the symphony in Sarasota. Okay. Let's do it. Let's use it. Let's make all of it. Okay. And I did. And it was the best decision I ever made. And I feel like it was, you know, there's definitely.
Is it because you had some word of mouth? Is that why you had that? You
definitely had word of mouth. I mean, I had been doing it for years. I had worked in Sarasota. I had worked in Denver. I had worked in Brandon area in Florida. So I had definitely been all around and I had kind of a backup of clients. And I had clients that had kind of been like, look, we really want to do these things with you. But the company I'd been working for, I wasn't able able to do all those extra things. That went into my calculations. I was like, well, if I could really offer them the full service that I know that my clients want and need, A, I would be able to do a better job for my clients. And B, I would be able to truly be doing all the aspects of what I love, not just this aspect of it.
I'm going to ask you the best moment so far of your career, and also the weirdest, the horror story moment.
Best moment.
We can keep it short. We don't have to,
Best moment of my career. I mean, I feel like I've been really lucky to have had a lot of great moments. Yeah. I totally loved doing HGTV. That was fantastic. That was a super fun, love, great, fantastic moments to do.
So how many of those did you do?
I did the first season. I did 4 of the houses for the first season of the 100-Day Dream Home.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, very cool.
So very cool, lots of fun. I had a house that was on Extreme Living. That was kind of crazy. That was like old show, like way back. That was like back in the days where we didn't show women on TV that were pregnant.
Oh, so wow.
I literally was cut from like every scene. Like all my work was there, but I wasn't, because they did not want to see the crazy person running around like super like 8 months pregnant.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and
it wasn't that long ago, right?
It wasn't that long ago. I mean, that child is 16. Okay. So, but yeah, it was like kind of that like.
Was HGTV big? How big was that for you? I mean, and
The first time I had a show on it, like I was on HGTV, was at Extreme Living. And I think that was, I want to say that was probably one of the biggest moments, to be able to be, look, there is my work for everybody to see. That house was then shown in Design Bureau magazine, so that was like really fantastic to be able to have that first like real national, international publicity to say, yes, you were doing the right thing. And I think being that happened after I had started my own company was like, yes, I made the right decision. Like kind of was the nail to say, yes, this was the right thing to do. Weirdest thing to have ever been through. Feel like sometimes there's a lot of like really kind of crazy out of the box
without
kind of
violating any NDAs.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm like, we do sign a confidentiality agreement with every one of our clients. So, I think probably, a lot of times we set up houses for our clients from top to bottom, like everything.
Gotcha.
They walk in their house, all they need is their toothbrush. Like we have all their dishes, all their, bedding, sheets, towels, whole 9 yards. I think sometimes it's more like weird moments for me are like that nervousness where I'm like, did that client just move in and we didn't realize that they moved in and we're like still working on their house? Like I always have that like weird fear of like, please, like who's in the house? Like, why do I hear a shower going? Like when we're still on like setup day, like those are like my like biggest like heart pounding, like,
Fair.
I don't want to walk into somebody.
That was a smooth answer. That was a good answer. But we don't want you to violate any NDAs or anything like that. Yeah. So if we don't want to get you in trouble, that's not the point.
No. And we don't want to share any of their secrets. I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, we want you to tell everybody that we did your house or we did your home or we worked with you, but we're never going to be the ones that are going to share that.
And because it's a very intimate, this is they're spaces that they live in. And
absolutely. And there's, and a lot of them are public figures and we don't want, people to know, oh my gosh, they're living at this location or that house was this celebrity.
Do you ever use that as like I've done this person's home, I've done that person's home? Are you allowed to do that? Or
only if they allow us to.
Only if they allow.
So I have some really great clients that I love. I love all my clients, but I have some that are super fantastic. They're like, we want you to post every picture and tag us of like everything that you've done. And I'm like, great. So we will tag those people. And
I was going to say, social media has to be a huge, word of mouth, and then that has to be a big driver, right?
Absolutely. Social media, word of mouth. We still do probably 99% of our business solely through word of mouth, like referral, people that we've done, builders that we work with are, hey, we've got this person, this celebrity, this whatever that's looking at buying this house. Will you meet with them? to see if, you can help them get this finished and that kind of thing. So we do a lot of that kind of work. But social media is great and it's fun. And we're excited. We're in a new book coming out called Inspired Kitchens and Baths.
Okay.
Very lucky. Honored to be one of only 70 designers selected.
Who is putting this together?
So
let's talk about this a little bit.
So this is Inspired Media. It's coming out. It's being published in Chicago. The author, Rick, he's out of Texas. So he contacted us to put the whole, to be part of it and everything. So we're excited. We've got 2 kitchens and a bath that's coming out in the book.
Okay.
So very
awesome.
Yeah, and it should actually be out pretty soon, late spring. Nice.
What's that moment where you're like, I've made it in my career? Is it being on HGTV? Is it being in a book? Is it, doing this famous person's home? What?
I don't know if I ever feel like I've made it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I always feel like there's the next thing.
You don't want to get too comfortable either.
No, you don't want to be too comfortable. Yeah. I always feel like there's the next thing that we can do. I think to me, the next stage is, okay, we want locations in multiple states. You know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, I might for a moment feel like, ooh, I made it. But then it's like, what's the next goal?
Right.
I teach my kids all the time. I'm like, what's your goal? Okay, this is great what you're doing right now, but what's the next thing? And I feel like that's the same thing within a company, within what you're doing, because there's always something else. You know what I mean? Like, because the moment that you feel like you're there is the moment that somebody else is going to be coming up and had a new idea, and a new way of doing something. And then the next thing you know is you're the one on the back burner and everybody else is looking at this new innovative way of doing it. So we always try and innovate new, different things.
What would be, and this is my last question, what would be your advice to young entrepreneurs, young women entrepreneurs that are kind of in that position that you were back in 2008, where they want to do something, maybe a little afraid to take that leap? What would be your message to them?
So I think it would be multi-point. I think the first thing would be believe in yourself, bet on yourself. You are the person, control your controllables. You are the only person that you can guarantee things will get done and do things. So bet on yourself. It's better to spend the money on yourself, growing yourself, getting to know yourself, how to do those kind of things. Go for it. Calculate it. We were talking earlier about the whole, I think it's Richard Branson who said it about, if somebody wants to offer you something or ask you to do something, do it and figure out how to do it after. Go for it. There's a lot of different ways. If it's anywhere near your wheelhouse of what you're doing, go for it. Then do the research. Do the research, get the education, figure out how you're going to do it. And don't be afraid to dive into the analyticals. Don't be afraid to get into the financials of it. Don't be afraid to run the numbers, because those are just as important, if not more important, than everything else, because you have to know where you are. And I think a lot of times as women, we didn't always know every number of what's going on and what is all the cost of this. We need to know that, and you need to know where you are. And there's nothing wrong with being a strong woman who says, financially, this is the right decision for me. This is the right decision for my company. And this is the right decision for the direction of where I want to go, and being able to support it with facts. So take a little bit of that. And if somebody wants to call you the B word, let them.
Love that. Great note to end on. Where can people find you, by the way?
You can find us. Our website the website is artfulconceptions.net. You can find us on Instagram under my previous name of Sara Shirelli. And, we're also on Facebook. I am not yet to the point where I have Snapchat. I know I should, but it's just an extra platform for me to figure out. But you can definitely find us all through the website. Call us, Instagram. We're really big on Instagram.
You taking new clients?
We are taking new clients. Cool. And we are on TikTok too. So you can find some of our home tours on TikTok, as well as AC Interiors.
Okay. Sara Davis, Artful Conceptions. Thank you for your time, okay?
Thank you.